Hello, this is Evan here from the Trade Risk on Wednesday, March 24th, 2021. We are intraday right now, and this is our weekly swing trade ideas video where we bring you stocks based on variety of discretionary and technical trade criteria, no quantitative signals in today's video. We're going to break all that down in just a minute, exactly what we're looking at, the patterns and price action that we think is interesting. As always, these videos are sponsored by our partners over at Investors Business Daily. We curate ideas from their stock lists. You can get access to their stock lists with a link in the description of this video. So we're going to kick things off. We have, let's see, we've got 2, 4, 6 stocks we're going to discuss in today's video. The first one I want to mention is HD. Now, HD Home Depot is a name that is probably familiar because we've talked about this a couple of times in the past, and I sort of want to break this down a little bit because this is a name that we've been sort of touching upon a few times. This showed up as a trade ideas video in one of our previous trade ideas videos, I think twice, but certainly it was in the January 10th video, which was right back in here. So right in this spot here on January 10th, we talked about it. This was hitting our ultimate consolidation scan. And basically what we were identifying here was just this very broad range that this was forming and this was trading in. And this comes from one of our, kind of automated technical TC2000 scans, which is on our website. So back over here in the 110, we identified it as a watch candidate to see how it resolves this this range. In last week's market analysis video, we kind of highlighted how the home improvement industry was showing relative strength. It was leading, in fact, last week on the upside. It was starting to just really outperform. And so if you were to dig into that, you would have found, of course, HD. And now when I look at some scans here today, I'm finding HD on the actual breakout. So all this goes to show is that there are sort of multiple clues, right, to find stocks earlier. Now, if you like and you want the confirmation of new highs, I completely get that. And I think that can be in itself a winning strategy of, kind of catching HD here and finding it. But if you're someone that, looks at this price action and says, wow, this has covered a lot of ground, or wow, this came out of nowhere, look at this rocket ship, there have been clues here to sort of get involved in this name if it's a name and a pattern that is of interest to you. So I kind of wanted to break that down just to show kind of the evolution, the different points you could have gotten involved with this stock, or at least had it on your radar prior to today. So HD, again, weekly chart here, it could just be getting going. If we look here at the consolidation, it went sideways for 7 months. It's basically gone nowhere for 7 months. We're trying to break out right now. So if you have a long-term view here and you're willing to give it some room, HD could very well be trading north of 300 here in a short amount of time, and certainly into the future. So HD, that's the first stock I wanted to mention there. Number two, from sort of just the discretionary side. So this is just me sort of looking at the IBD stock lists and our own TR150 watch list. ZBRA. So this one here just is showing some reasonable relative strength here in the tech space. Now, a couple of things to note. There has been some heavier volume on the sell-off, so it's not a perfect pattern or perfect sort of behavior here, but price action relative, to where it's been and kind of what the market's been doing here is pretty constructive. Now, here's what I would want to see in this particular name is I basically want to see this open gap down here hold. If we roll over, if we start breaking down below here, then that upper level momentum, that urgency, the buyers kind of holding this up would sort of disappear in my book, and I'm just a lot less interested. So we could call it 454 as the line to hold, but basically, holding this gap up here and trying to, stabilize and put in a higher low over 450. That's the ideal case in my book. And then how you play it from there is entirely up to you. Obviously, if it starts breaking out, starts resuming, maybe over 480, again, if you like the all-time high confirmation, there's many ways to approach it, and it depends on, time horizon, risk tolerance, stop losses, all that good stuff, which you have to sort of put together from these trade ideas. So ZBRA, that's just an interesting one. That sort of catches my attention. We'll see if it can actually hold up. Let's move on to some of the more technical trade ideas, and from the scans that are on our website. If you're a TC2000 user, check them out, thetraderist.com/store. There's lots of patterns on there, working on some new ones for all of you as well. So AMAT, this one here is one that's breaking out today. It's a semiconductor name, so that in itself is impressive. If we look at just say the SMH right now, you can see semiconductor ETF is reasonably off of its highs. If you look at the SOXX, another semiconductor index, is call it 8-9% off highs. You look at something like AMAT, and we have new highs. So some good relative strength, heavy volume coming in. Recording this a few hours before the market closes, and you can already see we're running 130% of the average daily volume. So this is going to be a high volume sort of breakout here, and this one looks pretty good. So AMAT, that's our first name there, hitting our 52-week high scan, hitting our fresh breakout scan, hitting multiple scans of ours. ZS, so Zscaler here is a bearish setup. This is hitting our, I think it's hitting multiple scans as well, but it's at least hitting our bearish engulfing bar. So basically what we have here is a downtrend that is in place, a short-term downtrend, let's call it that, because if we zoom out, we can see a much longer-term uptrend. But if we're now looking at kind of the shorter term swing traders, we've got this impulse leg to the downside here. We broke some support. We broke some uptrend lines. We went sideways. Take a look at the back-to-back sort of indecisive days here, Monday and Tuesday. And then today's session, we opened up high. We took a quick peek over the prior 2-day highs. And then we've been selling off. We continue to sell off, and we've engulfed now multiple days worth of trading. So ZS here, if you're looking for a bearish bet on tech, you basically have some momentum building here to the downside. Maybe it's going to come back down and fill the December gap. Not sure yet, but this is clearly one that is in a pretty tough spot. BL is in a very similar situation. This is tech as well, so you have a very similar situation here. We broke these longer term uptrend lines. We've gotten some selling pressure to the downside. We bounced recently off of the lows from 2 weeks ago. We went sideways, and then today we tried to pop up a little bit, sold off, engulfed yesterday's prior days, 2, 3, 4, 5 days ago range, and we are kind of sinking lower here on a momentum trade to the downside. So those are a couple of short ideas there on the tech space. Again, you want to be nimble there. Tech has been selling off. I am not so, I'm not a big tech bear at this point. I think for a multi-day swing, you can certainly get some juice out of the downside. I wouldn't want to overstay my welcome. That's just personal preference, but there's opportunity on both sides of this market right now. Last but not least is SNDX. So this one here is interesting because of a couple of things. Well, first is just the time spent sideways here. So again, you can see this has got a nice kind of base that it's built up here. This is hitting our ultimate consolidation scan. So again, this is another TC2000 scan we have on our store. You can see, frankly, the fact that it's gone nowhere over these past several months. But then I also want to kind of point out that this is in the healthcare biotech realm. And if we look at biotech recently, so look at IBB here is, kind of in a sell-off frenzy, follow through day to the downside. It is, let's see, off of highs by 15%. Look at something like XBI. This is another biotech ETF. This is probably 20%, 23% from highs. It's selling off right now. And then we look at something like SNDX. And again, you can see just the relative strength, the relative outperformance. Now, it's going to be tough to break out when you have your sector selling off or in free fall. So keep that in mind. But again, this is kind of like the HD moment where it's something to put on your watch list. You're a little bit early right now. Let's pay attention to it. Let's see if biotech can catch its footing. Let's see if the market can catch its footing. And this one could start to lead. So SNDX, Ultimate Consolidation Scan, that is the last trade idea we have for today's video. So as always, I'd love to know what's your favorite, any of these stand out to you, anything else that you're trading that looks interesting, leave a comment below. Love to read comments, and thank you so much for tuning in. Every Wednesday we do trade idea videos just like this. Again, do your homework on all these ideas. None of these should be bought blindly. Do your due diligence and homework on all of them. Make sure they fit your risk tolerance and outlook time frame and all that good stuff. Thanks so much for tuning in and watching. We'll see you back here on Friday for the long form market analysis video. Take care.